Hey, what's going on? My name's Bacon. Welcome back to another Daybreak reaction video. Time to talk about the Nexus card of the Solar Archetype. Let's see what this is like.
It's time for you to find out who's guarding the Golden Fleece on today's Summer Solstice reveal. Let's dive in.
Alright, I forgot it was Summer Solstice as well, I'll be honest.
25 days of Daybreak until pre-orders launch on July 12th. Make sure you guys mark it on your calendar as these reveals have been so hype. Appreciate everybody showing the love, hitting that like button, and sharing with
They're good reveals, you know? They are very good reveals.
Today, so let's get to it. First up is a brand new Solar Elestral, Dratora.
Ooh, Dratagwa.
Friends Dratagwa and Drataya.
Okay.
It's a 2/4 with a super cool Nexus effect. You can Nexus one Solar, and when you do, you can return up to 2 Solar from your Underworld to your Spirit deck. Sticking with that nice theme.
Not bad, I get it.
A little bit of healing. Up next is a gorgeous brand new stadium, Temple
of the Sun. All right, the stadium, right?
All of your Solar Enchanted Elestrals by +1 attack and +1 defense. Nothing new from what we've seen from the other stadiums, but a big shout outs to Jack and Art for the incredible artwork.
Jack and Art, that's crazy good.
Absolute beauty.
Good stuff.
Dratora, much like its Nexus forms, does indeed ascend into
okay, what we got in its ascension?
Lustragon.
Lustragon. Nexus 3?
2 Solar that has a super strong Nexus effect like never before seen. You can Nexus up to 3 Solar Spirits.
Ooh.
When this Lustragon receives 1 or more Solar Spirit in a Nexus, you can target and destroy a card.
Only a
Sky
Nexus.
Enjoyers, rejoice, this card is about to be bonkers. Not only can Lustragon
that's not bad.
and destroy cards in the field, but it can Nexus up to 3 spirits. That kind of power and that kind of spirits on your Elestral row can only equate to absolute destruction for your opponents. And this Elestral is such a beauty.
That's insane, yeah.
That I show off the first full art of Daybreak.
Ooh.
Full art Lustragon.
That is so cool. I love that.
Art that I'm sure you're gonna love to add to your collection.
That is so cute, I'll say.
Let me know what you think about all these brand new awesome Solar.
All right, we'll go ahead and talk about this. This seems to be a very short one. Obviously, just a 2-minute video, not too much to really talk about. Dratara is weird. First things first, I will say 4 defense, not bad, but as things start to get a little bit more powerful, 4 defense is starting to not really cut it anymore. So maybe it could have been a 5 and be a little bit better, but 4 is fine. 4 is totally fine. This one's weird, though. It's weird because it can only Nexus 1. And the thing about Nexusing that I will say, there hasn't really been too much of, like, Nexus prowess in Elestral so far. To be fair, maybe I'm just playing the game wrong. Maybe you guys have had a lot more success with like Nexusing and stuff. Me personally, I haven't really seen too much success. I haven't really successfully been able to Nexus something without destroying something else. Like I'm currently doing a lot of testing on my Shiveror deck, and Frigicub is a great Nexuser for that deck because it focuses on Mountains of Boreas, and Frigicub can just Nexus 2 to itself and then get a 3rd one from the Underworld, which just buffs up to 8 attack, which is just insane. But setting that up is hard. A lot of times it is very difficult to set up Nexuses, and I think that's mostly just due to the fact that we don't really have a lot of runes with realistically all we have are the divine runes that say when you cast this divine rune, you can enchant up to X number of spirits to it, and that's sort of how you get a lot of your crazy spirits on the field. In comparison to stuff just like your 1-cost Elestrals, most of the time when they are cast, they just have the 1 on them, and you can't really do much else with that. So sometimes it gets difficult to actually set up Nexuses. And this is a little bit different. This is sort of a worse version of like the Jatagua, Nemisail stuff, alongside what's the other one? What's the frost one? Catarants, stuff like that, because it says when it receives, you can do that. If this said Nexus 1 return up to 3, I think it would be a whole lot better. It only says 2. So I'm not entirely certain. Granted, it is a Nexuser. Will there be another Nexuser? If there isn't, then this will see play in Solar. Just because if there isn't another Nexuser, obviously we will be talking about Lustragon. But if for just this, I don't think it's currently worth playing. But we'll see if we get another Nexuser. If we don't get another Nexuser in Solar, then I think this card will see play in Solar decks specifically. But now it's time to talk about Lustragon. You know what? Screw that. No, we're going to the full art. Where's the full art? There's the full art. Beautiful full art. But Nexus up to 3. And when it receives 1 or more Solar in a Nexus, you can target and destroy a card. So, the weird thing about this, it is not easy to get this card out. It is a 2-cost Elestral, which, granted, we are seeing an increase of, like, being able to get these 2-cost Elestrals out. It's getting easier, which is good, but it's still not quite there. A lot of decks are still just running mostly 1-cost Elestrals. The only decks that are mostly running 2-cost Elestrals are, like, Shiveror decks that are running Shiveror and, what's it called? The Evolution, Cryovern. And decks that are running, like, Lavalith plus another card. It's not easy to get this card out. If this card said, I already forgot his name, Jotara, if this said Nexus 1, return 2 spirits from Underworld to Spirit deck, then ascend it to a Lustragon, I could see it being a whole lot better. And maybe you think that's a little bit too powerful. I would think only do it from the hand. Maybe that's still a little bit too powerful. Maybe after you Nexus, you only return 1 spirit from your Underworld to your Spirit deck, and then you ascend. So it's basically like you're enchanting with your with a spirit from your Underworld. I'm not entirely certain. It's kind of strange. But this is a 2-cost Elestral that has a Nexus effect, which, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, I think this is the first one. I think this is the first 2 or 3-cost Elestral that has a Nexus effect. And it can Nexus 3. The only issue with this is, similarly when I talked about Nexus stuff, it is sometimes very difficult to set up these Nexuses. This card's effect is good. When it receives 1 or more Solar Spirit in a Nexus, target and destroy a card. That is a very good, very, very good effect. I'm only concerned because a lot of the times it doesn't really seem like you have extra spirits to Nexus off of unless you have the Divine Rune. And if you have the Divine Rune, typically you want to keep those spirits on the Divine Rune to activate some of their effects. Now, I will say with stuff like Apollo and Solar, you don't necessarily need to keep the spirits on it. In fact, typically Apollo's I can imagine Apollo is going to be one of the few Divine Runes that you cast and then you don't care to keep it around. Stuff with like Zeus and Demeter, you like to keep it around just so that you can get additional benefits with stuff like Spark It. And Equalinks. Apollo seems to be one of those where you can keep it around to do Nexus stuff with it, or you can just continuously disenchant from it to get foretells going. And this seems like a decent way to a decent reason to keep it around. The issue is you're not always going to do that. Those back row cards are still very susceptible to stuff like Thunderstorm. Blizzard, not so much because you can only target face downs. Equalinks. Earth decks are still playing Equalinks. Not so much Fruit, but there are some Earth decks still playing Equalinks, and there's a lot of back row removal cards. P-Gust as well is another one. So they could very easily just hit you for a bunch with that. So I feel like it has potential. Granted, I will say, I have thought about this for a long time when it comes to me and these card evaluations. I feel like a lot of the time I am continuously keeping my head in the mind space of a Yu-Gi-Oh player rather than a Elestrals player. I'm sort of thinking that this effect might be a little too slow, but I feel like that is that's partly just because I keep thinking in terms of Yu-Gi-Oh. Again, if you missed the last episode of this, I still play Modern Yu-Gi-Oh! I said it in that video. And modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is obviously an incredibly fast-paced game. It's insane what you can do in that game in comparison to this, where typically a lot of times in this game, you might not even play a card in a turn and it'll be fine. Like, you just, you would just expend the draw and be like, that's my turn. So I feel like my card evaluations are kind of skewed from that sort of mindset. This card is probably good. I don't think it's super amazing, just because I feel like Nexusing isn't a super prevalent mechanic yet. This could be very, very good if we get a lot more cards that are basically just like, on cast, enchant a boatload of spirits to it. And if that happens, this card will be a whole lot better. All the Nexus cards will be a whole lot better, just because they have more spirits with which to Nexus. So if that happens in the near future, I could see this being played at some point. Maybe there's something else in the set that we don't know about. But as of right now, I think it's fine, but probably will not be played in solar decks. That being said, I think that's going to be it for the video. That's gonna do it. I don't really know what that outro start was, but hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you stop the like button and subscribe for more. Hope to see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.